Life is not random. Every challenge, every heartbreak, and every moment of triumph is meticulously woven into a grander tapestry, a story that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. What if I told you that the struggles you face aren't merely obstacles, but deliberate tests designed to mold you into something greater? What if, instead of seeing pain as punishment, you could view it as preparation for a purpose you've yet to uncover? The concept of the chosen ones often feels mythical, reserved for ancient legends or extraordinary tales. But in reality, the chosen ones aren't born, they're forged. They are ordinary people who have endured extraordinary trials. These trials, unseen and spiritual in nature, test the very fabric of who we are. And while most people avoid or fail these challenges, a select few embrace them, not because they seek glory, but because something deep within compels them to face the fire. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord in Jeremiah 29:11, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. This verse reminds us that life's trials are not arbitrary. They are intentional steps in a divine design. Every moment of pain, doubt, or fear is an opportunity to grow closer to your highest self and your ultimate purpose. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It will challenge your identity, test your faith, and even demand your surrender. But for those who endure, the reward is transformation, a profound awakening to who you truly are. Today, we will explore the 7 hardest spiritual challenges that only the chosen ones endure. These tests will stretch you, but they may also unlock the extraordinary potential waiting within you. Are you ready? Let's begin. 1. The challenge of self-identity. Who are you, really? It's a question that echoes through the corridors of our minds, often drowned out by the noise of daily life. The challenge of self-identity is the first and perhaps the most daunting test in the journey of the chosen ones. It strips away the comforting illusions we build around ourselves, forcing us to confront our truest essence. This is not a superficial reckoning, it's a deep dive into the soul, a confrontation with the person you are beneath the layers of societal labels, accomplishments, and roles. We spend much of our lives defining ourselves by external factors, our careers, relationships, possessions, or even our social media personas. But what happens when all of that is stripped away? Who are you without the job title, the accolades, or the relationships? This test demands that you stare into the abyss of your own being and answer, who am I when everything external falls away? For most, this is a terrifying prospect. The idea of losing our carefully curated identity feels like a death of sorts, and in a way it is. The false self, the ego, must die for the true self to emerge. C.S. Lewis captures this beautifully. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. This challenge requires humility, not the self-deprecating kind, but the humility to acknowledge that you are more than your achievements and less than your ego imagines. True identity is not something we create, it's something we uncover. In the Bible, the story of Moses offers a profound illustration. Before he could lead his people, he had to face his own doubts and fears, asking, "Who am I that I should go?" Exodus 3:11. It was only in confronting his identity that he could embrace his purpose. Few people pass this test because it demands brutal honesty and vulnerability. But those who do find something remarkable, a clarity of purpose, a strength of character, and a deep connection to their inner truth. The chosen ones emerge from this challenge not with a new identity, but with an understanding of their eternal essence. So ask yourself, are you ready to face the mirror and uncover who you truly are? 2. The challenge of isolation. We live in a world that glorifies connection, a constant hum of notifications, conversations, and distractions that make us feel less alone. Yet the second spiritual challenge, the challenge of isolation, requires something entirely different. It demands that you step away from the noise, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, to embrace the profound silence of solitude. This is not a retreat into loneliness, but an intentional act of being alone with yourself, a sacred space where transformation begins. True isolation strips away external validation and forces you to confront the thoughts, fears, and desires you've buried beneath the chaos. It's uncomfortable, even unsettling, because there's nowhere to hide. In the stillness, your inner voice emerges, the one that has always been there but has been drowned out by the world. This voice is your true self, your guide, your compass. Be still and know that I am God, says Psalm 46:10. This verse reminds us that silence is not emptiness, it is a doorway to divine connection. But accessing this requires courage, as many fear the silence will expose truths they are not ready to face. Take the example of Jesus in the wilderness. For 40 days he faced solitude, temptation, and self-reflection. Yet, it was in this isolation that he emerged stronger, clearer in his mission, and aligned with his purpose. His time in the wilderness wasn't a punishment but preparation, a reminder that silence can be transformative. C.S. Lewis also speaks to this in his reflections on solitude. We live, in fact, in a world starved for solitude, silence, and private, and therefore starved for meditation and true friendship. Isolation isn't just about disconnecting, it's about reconnecting with yourself, with your purpose, and with something greater than you. Most people avoid isolation because it feels like emptiness, but the chosen ones know it's an essential step toward clarity. They sit in the silence, face the discomfort, and listen to the wisdom that arises. In this space, transformation begins. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you truly sat alone, not scrolling, not escaping, but listening? Can you embrace the stillness long enough to hear the voice within? 3. The challenge of letting go. We spend much of our lives holding on, grasping at relationships, clinging to possessions, and tethering ourselves to expectations. Yet, the third spiritual challenge, the challenge of letting go, demands the opposite. It asks us to release our attachments and trust that what is meant for us will remain and what is not will fall away. This is not an act of giving up, but an act of profound faith and strength. Letting go is difficult because it feels counterintuitive. Society teaches us to fight for what we want, to never give up, and to hold on at all costs. But in doing so, we carry the weight of grudges, disappointments, and unmet expectations, which only drag us down. The challenge of letting go is an invitation to release this burden and trust in the greater flow of life. C.S. Lewis poignantly said, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." Letting go is not about erasing the past. It's about freeing yourself from its hold. It's about recognizing that clinging to what no longer serves you blocks the blessings that await. Consider the story of Abraham in the Bible. He was asked to let go of his homeland, his comfort, and even his plans for the future to follow God's calling. His willingness to release his own control opened the path for a greater destiny than he could have imagined. Letting go doesn't happen all at once. It's a process, a daily practice of loosening your grip on the things you cannot control. Each time you let go, whether it's of a fear, a failure, or even a dream, you create space for something new to take root. The chosen ones understand that letting go isn't weakness, it's liberation. It's a declaration that you trust life's design more than your own plans. This trust allows them to move forward unburdened, ready to embrace the unknown with open hearts. So reflect on this. What are you still holding on to that's no longer serving you? Could letting it go be the key to finding the freedom and peace you've been searching for? 4. The dark night of the soul. There comes a time in every chosen one's journey when the world feels as though it's crumbling. Relationships unravel, dreams dissolve, and even faith seems elusive. This is the fourth and perhaps most harrowing spiritual challenge, the dark night of the soul. It's a period of profound inner turmoil, where every foundation you've built your life upon seems to collapse, leaving you in an abyss of questions and despair. At its core, the dark night of the soul is not a punishment, it's a purification. It's a stripping away of illusions, false identities, and ego-driven desires. Everything that is not authentically you must fall away, leaving space for your true self to emerge. While it feels like the end, it's actually a necessary phase of spiritual evolution. In the Bible, Job's story offers a poignant example. A man of faith and integrity, Job lost everything: his wealth, his family, and his health. He cried out, questioning God, yet he never turned away. It was through his darkest moments that he emerged with a deeper understanding of his purpose and an unshakable connection to God. The dark night of the soul feels like walking through a shadowed valley with no visible path forward. Every step challenges your belief in yourself, your faith in the universe, and your trust in the process. It whispers, "Why is this happening to me?" And "Will the light ever return?" Most people succumb to despair, unable to see that the darkness is not an end but a transformation. C.S. Lewis writes, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." This encapsulates the purpose of the dark night of the soul. It forces you to confront your fears, release what no longer serves you, and emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. This challenge requires immense courage and trust. The chosen ones endure not because they're unafraid, but because they recognize that the darkness is temporary. They hold on to the belief that even in their deepest despair, there is light at the end of the tunnel. They move forward, step by step, trusting in the unseen, knowing that every tear, every heartbreak, and every question is refining them. So, how do you face the dark night of the soul? Do you cling desperately to the pieces of your life that are crumbling, or do you let them fall, trusting that what remains will be what truly matters? Can you endure the silence, the uncertainty, and the pain, knowing that this darkness is clearing the way for a brighter light? This test is not easy. Few pass through it unbroken, but those who do find themselves forever changed, with a clarity and strength that only comes from enduring the fire. The dark night of the soul is not the end, it's the threshold of awakening. Are you ready to step into the unknown and trust that the light will guide you home? 5. The challenge of faith. Faith is easy to profess when life is smooth, but its true essence is tested in the crucible of uncertainty and pain. The 5th spiritual challenge, the challenge of faith, asks you to trust in something you cannot see, to believe in a greater purpose even when your circumstances suggest otherwise. This is not blind optimism, it's an act of profound courage to hold on to hope in the midst of despair. When you are deep in the dark night of the soul, faith becomes your lifeline. It's the thread that connects you to the belief that this darkness has meaning, that every trial is a step toward a greater plan. Hebrews 11:1 reminds us, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Faith asks you to trust not because the path is clear, but precisely because it isn't. Consider Abraham, who faced one of the greatest tests of faith. He was asked to sacrifice his son Isaac, the very child through whom God had promised to fulfill his covenant. Despite the incomprehensibility of the command, Abraham trusted in God's purpose. At the last moment, his faith was rewarded, and his son was spared. This story illustrates that faith doesn't require understanding. It requires trust. Faith is not about ignoring the pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging the struggle and choosing to believe that there is a purpose behind it. C.S. Lewis captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods." The challenge of faith often feels like walking a tightrope over a chasm. Doubts whisper from below, urging you to look down, to panic, to retreat. The weight of uncertainty presses against your resolve, but the chosen ones keep moving forward, step by step, even when every fiber of their being cries out to turn back. They understand that faith isn't about seeing the entire staircase, it's about taking the next step. Faith also means trusting in yourself. It requires believing that you are strong enough, resilient enough, and capable enough to navigate the storm. This is perhaps the hardest part of the challenge, as self-doubt often creeps in when life feels most uncertain. Yet, those who pass this test recognize that faith in the divine and faith in oneself are intertwined, each fueling the other. So ask yourself, when life feels chaotic and uncertain, do you cling to faith or do you let fear take the reins? Can you trust in a purpose you cannot yet see? Faith is not passive, it's an active choice to keep moving forward, even when the way ahead is obscured. The chosen ones endure this test because they understand that faith is the bridge between despair and hope. And on the other side of that bridge lies clarity, purpose, and transformation. Are you ready to trust in what you cannot see? Number 6. The challenge of surrender. If faith is about trusting in the unseen, surrender is about letting go of the need to control. The 6th spiritual challenge, the challenge of surrender, asks you to relinquish your grip on the wheel of life and trust its flow. This is not an act of defeat. It's a courageous step into alignment with a greater intelligence. We live in a culture that idolizes control, We make plans, set goals, and strategize every step, believing we can bend life to our will. But life, as many discover, rarely follows our carefully laid paths. Unexpected events, both joyful and painful, disrupt our plans, leaving us grasping for a sense of order. The challenge of surrender is not about abandoning effort, it's about releasing resistance. C.S. Lewis reminds us, relying on God has to begin all over again every day as if nothing had yet been done. Surrender is a daily practice. It requires us to acknowledge that while we can make choices, there are forces at work far beyond our understanding. It's a call to let go of the illusion of control and trust the wisdom of life's unfolding. Consider Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, facing his crucifixion. In a moment of profound surrender, he prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. This ultimate act of surrender was not weakness. It was strength born of trust in a divine plan. Surrender doesn't mean you stop caring or striving. It means you release your attachment to specific outcomes. Imagine swimming in a river. If you fight the current, you'll exhaust yourself. But if you surrender to the flow, the river will carry you effortlessly to where you need to go. The chosen ones embrace surrender because they understand that control is an illusion. They stop resisting life's currents, allowing themselves to be guided by forces greater than their own will. This doesn't make life easier, but it makes it infinitely more aligned with purpose and peace. So ask yourself, how much of your life is spent resisting what is? What would happen if you let go of your need to control and trusted the flow of life? The challenge of surrender isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to the wisdom of something greater. Only then can you move forward with true freedom. Number 7, the challenge of awakening. The final and most profound spiritual challenge is the challenge of awakening. Unlike the previous tests, this is not about enduring hardship, but embracing a revelation. It is the moment when the veil is lifted and you see the world and yourself as they truly are. This is not merely an intellectual understanding, but a deep, transformative realization that changes the way you live and experience life. Awakening is the culmination of every challenge that came before. It's the moment you realize that the struggles, the darkness, and the uncertainty were not obstacles, but essential steps on your journey. Each trial was preparing you to see the truth, that you are not a victim of life's circumstances, but a co-creator with a purpose far greater than you imagined. In the Bible, Jesus said, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. Awakening is freedom. Freedom from fear, doubt, and the limitations of the ego. It is the understanding that you are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of its unfolding. Your purpose is not something to find, but something to realize. It is inherent in your being. C.S. Lewis expressed this beautifully. We are what we believe we are. Awakening shifts your belief from limitation to possibility, from scarcity to abundance. You no longer see life's challenges as punishment, but as opportunities for growth and alignment with your highest self. The chosen ones who reach this stage discover a profound sense of peace. They no longer feel the need to control or resist life. Instead, they live in harmony with its flow, trusting that every moment, no matter how painful or joyful, is part of a divine design. Awakening is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new one. It is a call to live authentically, guided by purpose and a deeper connection to the world around you. It's a life where fear no longer dictates your choices and love becomes your driving force. So ask yourself, are you ready to awaken? Are you ready to see the truth of who you are and embrace the life you were meant to live? The challenge of awakening is not for the faint of heart, but for those who have endured. It is the greatest reward, a life transformed, illuminated, and free. Life is a journey, not of comfort, but of transformation. The 7 challenges we've explored are not just tests. They are doorways to a deeper, richer existence. Each challenge pushes you to grow, to let go of illusions, and to uncover the truth of who you are. From the mirror of self-identity to the silence of isolation, from the release of letting go to the profound surrender of control, every step shapes you into the person you were meant to become. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord in Jeremiah 29:11, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. These words remind us that our trials are purposeful, each one guiding us closer to our ultimate awakening. The chosen ones are not special because they are different. They are special because they choose to endure. They choose to face the fire, to step into the unknown, and to trust that every challenge holds a hidden gift. So now the question is yours to answer. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you ready to face the challenges that will transform your life? The path is not easy, but for those who dare, the reward is beyond measure. Are you one of the chosen ones?